Well, you can call it a Part B to the Part A that was held yesterday, but all I can say is I'm just glad to have seen the scenes, seeing the ladies off to the O.R. Tambo International Airport as we speak. I'm sure they are boarding the flight right now and heading off to Australia, New Zealand. Not sure of what class they are traveling in. I just hope that there's been a bit of a compromise all round. Make them sit in the comfort. That's a long trip. That's a long, long journey. Indeed, and as any professional sports person will tell you, that a lot of them, they'll be traveling to World Cups, especially a World Cup, seated in the comfort of a business class. But I don't know. I was just happy that things were sorted out. Maybe a bit strange that not much was revealed in terms of figures and numbers and so on. But be that as it may, we move the conversation. Let me quickly remind you, as always, about the number of days, because there's much talked about. FIFA Women's World Cup is in exactly 16 days. 16 days to go before the big showpiece. 24 days before the Netball World Cup also. Just 24 days down in Cape Town. 52 days before the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup. And also 66 days. Springboks, are you ready? Before the Rugby World Cup. So all seemingly coming together. Not much time left for any of these sporting codes to get their act together. We'll tell you as well about what happened on this day in history. All sorts of ructions happening on the FIFA versus Royal AM front. Are you ready for any of those? Lots of your voice notes came through yesterday. If relevant, we will play a couple of those, but also take fresh ones. 060-708-0484, 060-708-0484. That is the WhatsApp voice note number as well. Well, I think one that we missed. It might be Wednesday, it might be soccer night, but I just thought that a lot of disappointment on the side of the Zimbabwean cricket fans and also the Zimbabwean nation as a whole when they played against Scotland. And one so very sad individual was Audacious from Cape Town.
Good evening, Rob. This is Audacious here in Cape Town. The match which was played in Bulawayo today, Zimbabwe versus Scotland. It was a World Cup qualifier. Had Zimbabwe won today, my goodness, they were going to be playing in the World Cup later on this year in India. But unfortunately, we call it so near yet so far, especially after Scotland posted a 238 all out. So the carnival atmosphere, Rob, in Bulawayo were rooting for the Chevrons, thinking that well, Sikandar Raza and his boys were going to romp past the Scottish, but unfortunately it couldn't happen. It was 235, 42 overs. It's unfortunate that the middle order and the top basemen couldn't carry Zimbabwe through, but it was a good knock from Ryan Bull, 83 off 83 balls. So yeah, we say things didn't go out well for Zimbabwe, but this is a stepping stone for the Zimbabwean cricket side. David Hutton, Rob, has really galvanized Zimbabwean cricket there on the up. So hopefully this is a stepping stone for Zimbabwean cricket, and hopefully they will qualify for the next World Cup. So we say good luck to Scotland, but the West Indies are going through to the World Cup. So people are crying there in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo. But that's how sport is. You win some, you lose some. From me, Audacious Marwa, thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you, Audacious. So we kind of look at this 11th hour intervention. I mean, it means Banyana will leave on time for the FIFA Women's World Cup in New Zealand as well as Australia in two groups. One's going to leave today, being a Wednesday, and the other one's going to be leaving on Thursday. So the Motsepes have announced today, as we speculated correctly yesterday, that they're going to come through and save the day. Not once, not twice, many times. The nation, the footballing nation, have come unstuck and have had to go knocking to the Motsepes and say, can you help us? We are drowning. We are in trouble. Please bring some sanity. So I don't know for how long that can continue. Is it sustainable? And the Motsepes announced earlier on today that the foundation would be donating 6 million rand, with each player receiving about, 230,000 rand. Those are the figures that we have. So remember, these things are not pronounced on at the press conference. So we are left with this thing called speculation, which again seems a bit strange. I'll get into why I think it's strange. Now, the financial gesture bringing to an end that tense standoff that we've seen between the Football Association as well as Desiree Ellis's Banyana Banyana squad over the FIFA allocated bonus structure. So what a week. I mean, what a week it's been. And what a way to go on a global tournament for the ladies. So two parties have been extremely vocal about women's rights and also the women's worth. SAFPU, the South African Professional Football Players Union, as well as Ledwaba, a former Vice President of the South African Football Association, are here to really delve deeper into the Sathonian disappointing row that, in all honesty, should never, ever have taken place. So be part of the conversation. Simply send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 060 708 0484, 060 708 0484. As they usually say, we ladies first, let the elders lead. Ledwaba, let me welcome you back into the hot seat. Welcome to the show. Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you, Marawa. I'm here, and evening to your listeners.
Did you expect this? Did you not expect this? Whichever answer you give, why did it all happen?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to applaud is the stand that the Banyana Banyana took. That stand was a brave stand for them to be able to stand their foot and say, we are not going to, we want to negotiate our contract. We want to know exactly what is it that we are going to get before we get to the World Cup. I think that must be applauded, that, people are always afraid, afraid to say the truth, afraid to do the right thing. I think they did the right thing by just standing up and saying enough, it's enough. But also we must welcome the intervention by the Motsepe Foundation. As you say, it's not once, it's not twice. I know they have done that even with the association. When we didn't have money, we will go and ask the Motsepe Foundation to come on board, and they always did. So,
but isn't that the problem of the always did? It's almost like they feel compelled to always do. They almost feel like there's an earthquake and we call on the gift of the givers to go and sort out the mess and help the people that are struggling. And yet football should have its finances sorted out without having to go to the Motsepe Foundation. What's your take?
I agree with you that I think we must come to a point where we investigate thoroughly what's happening with our organization. Why are they always loaning money? They just received 21 million rand loan from FIFA, I think in July, August. Yes.
Which July?
Just 2022. Yes. And that loan is a loan that require SAFA not to receive any grant until that loan. So it means the yearly grant that Federation gets, SAFA would not get because of that loan. But the most important question is that, what is that loan for? What did it do?
So if you have no money, you ask for a loan, it arrives, then how are you going to pay it back? Because it means then you're going to have to borrow somewhere else to pay back the 21 million that's been given to FIFA. Then you're always going to be running
No,
debt.
they're not going to pay it back, but they're not going to receive their grant. Remember, FIFA give Federation grants on a yearly basis. So what it means is that for a number of years, they will not be getting that grant because they will be paying back that loan. But for me, what is important is that all these monies that we are talking about, the preparation money, have South Africans seen Banyana Banyana preparing for the World Cup. We wish them all the best. My wish is to see them in the next round. And I believe that if they had the best preparation with the funding that they received from FIFA, I believe they would have made it to the end, and I don't doubt they can go to the next stage and the next stage. Those girls are prepared to represent our country. What happens to the money that they won, the qualifying money, is 28 million rand. I mean, I expect a federation to say, you girls, you have qualified. We have received 28 million rand because of your qualification, which is 1.5 million US dollar. It's around 28, probably even more.
Yeah.
But then offer them something. Don't go to the girls and say you're going to receive 500,000 rand when you mean the money that has been allocated already by FIFA, which has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the girls because it is stipulated very clearly, even on the tablet, that this money is for the players. So I'm saying yes, the federation has to benefit from that funding, that qualifying funding, because yes, they've taken them around to go and play all over for them to qualify. So, but it is critical for the association to be able to call the players even then, because they knew how much they're going to receive, to say, this is the offer that we want to offer the team that will be going to the World Cup. Remember, some of the girls that are playing there might be their last World Cup.
No, so I can tell you about 5 of them who lost World Cup.
If they don't, because most of them, I've been with them from 2004 at the HPC. Yeah. That's where they come from.
And one of them is 37 years old.
Of course.
And we should be celebrating the fact that she's going closer to 170 caps playing for Banyana Banyana. But let me, before I take a break and I get Thulaganyo to join into the conversation, you've been a club owner. Ria Stars might have played in not so great stadia. We have a very, very intricate system of going to do field inspection. Professionally, Professor Ronnie Schloss does that a lot,
of course,
and cancels out the stadia. It's not a stadium that is used professionally. Would you have given the girls their last game against whoever? I'm not bringing Botswana in here as an issue, but that stadium, that quality stadium, to have a send-off game for the ladies who are going to a World Cup?
Would we have played Bafana there? That's the first question. No doubt. That stadium, I wasn't there. The stadium, I just looked at the venue, and I'm looking at the girls that are going to represent the country in the World Cup in a world-class stadium that we have as South Africa. We have world-class. Let me just say, this welcome, goodbye game was our idea from Limpopo Sports Confederation. We spoke to SAFA last year and say we would want to host Banyana Banyana before they leave, just to give them a welcome. Worked through the municipality to ask the municipality to bring their supporters from all the municipality. That we had banks that were coming on board and all that. The last meeting we were told that yes, they can't get any other international game, but we're going to get Botswana. And that was it. But did we get any written confirmation from SAFA to say you are no more going to get the game? No. Just hear from grapevines that that game is cancelled. And then they have the audacity to tell the South Africans that we didn't have another venue. Going to Bobela would have cost. What about the preparation money? Where is that preparation money? Just to go to Bobela, but they could have played in Peter Mugawa's stadium without paying a cent, because Limpopo Sports Confederation was ready with the Department of Sports in Limpopo to host that game.
All right, getting the inside track as well. Mam Ledwaba saying that no, that is wrong. That stadium was an atrocious venue to use and to utilize for a bunch of athletes who are heading off to a World Cup. All right, we'll bring in the Football Players Union straight after this.
Good evening, Robert. Robert, let me take you back to your conversation with Maria Ledwaba. You remember she spoke of money that was somehow unaccounted for, that led to them being dismissed in the office, if you recall well, unless I mix names. And again, now it's Banyana Banyana, it involves money. It was said on TV, even the lady, the captain of the USA team, saying we are glad at least money is going to be paid directly into players' accounts. Robert, I think, Danny has to call it quits.
Good evening, Robert. As per granddad Danny Jordan says that they have learned lessons. If they have indeed, can they please 2 months before or a month before Bafana goes to AFCON and they pronounce or announce the bonuses, just to show that they have learned some lessons? Thank you.
Hi, Robert. It's A.B. Moloi from Naturen. I'm a bit worried about our football association in South Africa because it looks like they live with handouts. Hence, the PSL, because of their financial muscle, they can dictate to SAFA, and that causes the friction into our football association, in the football fraternity as a whole. Thank you very much.
Marawa Sports Worldwide, live at 947, live on Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live. And of course, we'll give you a feed as well on the YouTube channel. Right, so my guest here tonight, as we sit and sift through all that has happened, I will also play you a clip. In fact, before I get to Thulaganyo, there's a clip from today. I want his opinion about it. We've got one from the minister. I also have from the Motsepe Foundation, and of course, the president of the association.
This issue of contract negotiations, England is still negotiating. We are on way to the World Cup. They'll get on the plane today and tomorrow, and they will be ready to participate there. Other federations are still where we were last Saturday or Sunday. So it's commonplace. And one of the things that is a global issue is the gap between men and women. And even if you go to this World Cup, in the 2022 World Cup, the pool for men players were over 400 million rand, 400 million US dollars. The pool for this World Cup is just over 100 million dollars. So you can see the massive gap, and in spite of FIFA's commitment to pay parity between women players and men's players. And you saw Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe on this issue, driving the agenda for pay parity, not just in women's football, in sport. So this gap does not only exist in Banyana Banyana, it exists in all women's sport. It does not exist only in our country, it's a global issue. So we said, while we are dealing with the issue in our country, we must also be advocates for addressing the issue on the continent and within FIFA. And that is what we have made many submission and engagement on that. So we are committed, Honourable Minister, to pay parity. We did not say it, we implemented it last year, and we are supporting this process. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the Motsepe Foundation, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, and Dr. Precious Malloy Motsepe. Thank you very much. Whenever we pick up the phone, whenever we knock, we know the answer is yes. And we are delighted about that. And it doesn't take long. If it's a national issue, a national call, you respond.
All right, so the clarion call coming through from Danny Jordan. He is the SAFA president. Thulaganyo Gaoshobelwe is the SAFPU president, and he joins us here in studio. Thulaganyo, good to see you. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Rob. Let me greet your listeners. Vuma, Rise, Soweto, 947.
A lot of people listening for obvious reasons. You've just told us the spread of the channels that are listening to the show. And they saw you in action on Sunday. You were called into action at the stadium. People were being blocked from access into the stadium. All sorts of names were being thrown around. But if we summarize all of that, where we are today, to this meeting of minds that we've been told about happened today, I still saw ladies that were not really smiling. I just saw ladies who were saying, okay, I guess we need to accept what we're accepting. We've got a flight to catch. From a players' union perspective, in summary, all of that happened. Where are we?
Rob, we must say it's been very, very tough. Because I think when I reached out to the minister on late Saturday night, and we had a chat on Sunday. One of the issues that we would have raised with him was that, look, this is a very important issue. You just came back from MINEPS 7. They were in Azerbaijan. They were dealing with issues of women, of equality. And by the way, I must be the first to say, Robert, as a point, we must stop talking about this gender equality and that, I call that nonsense. I always say, mind my language. But we should get to a point where we are able to talk about, here we've got champions, here are the women, and what's their worth. We need to have those discussions. And we'll talk to those things because it talks to the issues of parity and so forth. Because when you talk parity, you can't talk parity and saying, no, we want to bring our women here, but instead of getting them to where we are, you reduce the standard. You get our standard to say, okay, we're on 60, now we'll take you to 40, then everybody must get there. So we must deal with those things. And I'm highlighting these things because when we went into these meetings, Robert, we packaged our discussions differently, Maria, and saying, look, let us focus on, there are issues that we devil in this association called SAFA. There are issues that are very toxic that we have spoken about. I mean, so we need to say, let us focus on contractual issues and we'll deal with these other matters so that we are able to assist the very same issues that you are talking to say, I mean, you've seen women who are not really happy about certain things. They cannot be happy, and they could not have been happy when they miss an opportunity to play in front of their fans for the very last time before they went to the national duty internationally. It could not have happened. And these arose, Robert, and I think we need to paint this picture so that we also, for the purpose of those who might not necessarily know what happened, who would have received the information that says, Banyana Banyana didn't want to play for the country. What were the issues? We got a call. We met with Banyana Banyana last week, Tuesday. This is the 27th of Tuesday. We sit down. They say they've received the contract. And we're painting this picture because that picture is important. It's the one that has brought us here. We're saying that on the there's this contract that's been given to them, which has got no financial remuneration or anything. We know that finances are the material issues within or in the contract.
So you're confirming that the contract they had did not include
they
any
had
financials?
They didn't include any financials. Okay. They didn't include any financials. So they gave it to us to say, this is where we are. What do we do? We advise them the best way we know how. And remember, we knew that already FIFA, through the processes that we were part of, through FIFPro, we agreed that Banyana Banyana will get this. So there are monies that are allocated and guaranteed.
Sure.
And because we knew about it, we explained that to them. That and any recent experience that we might have had as a country, taken from the AFCON and all that, we don't want to find ourselves having to argue about whether we should be paid today or tomorrow. Let's take all that FIFA has agreed and put it here. Because it's not only, those conditions are not only about finances, it's also about if you fly, travel, if you fly more than 4 hours, you must fly business. There's accommodation, you don't necessarily want to share, stay all by yourself because we are a diverse nation. So we've got to talk about diversity and inclusion. And you might be of different religion, I might be of different orientation as well, so I want to stay by myself and all that. So all those issues, we wanted them to be there. That would have been the first part. So that alone would have brought us to this. It was part of this deadlock to say, no, but that money is there. We know about it. So include it in the contract. We had challenges with that. But over and above that, we said, but what is the association giving us? Okay, because there are quite a number of things. You can talk image rights, you can talk about sponsors, you talk about people who pledge, but let's play open cards. And there is this notion that we must reject, Rob, with the contempt it deserves. That suggests that because Banyana Banyana are getting money from FIFA, they should not get anything from SAFA or from anything, or they are greedy. We cannot be excited that now, as Banyana Banyana, we have brought you to this level. Therefore, because you are here, you must be very excited that you have been exploited for so many years. And now that you are here, you must then keep quiet and shut up because you don't deserve better. You must just deal with what you're dealing with. As a nation,
be grateful.
Yes. And by the way, this money, they're getting it because they would have given their rights to FIFA for FIFA to then do other things. But this money is not because it would have been negotiated between associations. They didn't negotiate. There's about 211, I think, association within FIFA. So if we went there to negotiate, then everybody would have received that money. And we're saying part of the problem that brought us here, and we are painting that problem to say it is because Banyana Banyana would have played, and by virtue of them having been part of the 32 teams that have qualified, they deserve to get that money. Now, we wanted to sit down and say, can we sit down and negotiate in terms of the structure that you are going to give us as an additional income from the federation? So we started boxing each other. But also fundamental to that, this is from Tuesday. I'm taking this thing from Tuesday to
I'm gonna fast track that, Thulaganyo, because I don't want time to swallow us.
Okay.
I want to fast track it till the intervention. So Motsepe Foundation comes through. Bennett Bailey yesterday tells us the numbers. And this is obviously a way to say to us as the public that, you know, these girls are crazy. They are greedy. This is what they want from SAFA outside of FIFA money. So have a look at it. But then today there's a press conference and all of a sudden we are not told the financials. We were told yesterday when it was relevant for them to show us the financials. So why not tell us that today, okay, Motsepe Foundation gave us 6 or 8 billion divided by the players. They'll get so much each. They are happy but not happy, but we're happy to move on. So as the players union, put me in the picture there. Did they at least tell you what those figures are? Because once you talk about figures, you might as well talk about them till the end.
Right. And that's exactly where we were getting to. But it's been very difficult because at some point, you know, when you negotiate, I mean, you will have to reach some compromises here and there. But one thing, and I think Maria mentioned it, that we must thank these women. And I think all of us, we have a blueprint now. There's a lot that male players can learn from this team. Because this team from the onset said, we have qualified, we've got a team. And this team that we are sending out, it's a Banyana Banyana team delegation that is comprised of 23 plus 3 standbys and support staff. Now you've got 45 in total. Banyana Banyana says, listen, we want, yes, we've got this money that's been guaranteed, but we also want to make sure that you are going to give this staff something, because the staff was not given anything, any guarantees in terms of how much they will get and so forth and whatnot. So we agreed out of this whole process that they will get the 230. They said, okay, it's fine. We wanted more, but because we need to accommodate the staff, we are a team. So we will get, they negotiated for 230 that we will get from SAFA, and the 115,000 that they will get for the staff. Okay? And it is so because they said, anything that we negotiate, staff will get 15% because you've got drivers there, you've got people who wash your kit, and so forth. So to the extent that those discussions were, we were very happy that we managed to at least represent Banyana in terms of what they wanted. However, we are still dealing with other issues in terms of the contract to say, how do we then move and deal with all those matters, which the discussions are between ourselves, our lawyers, and the and SAFA, to make sure that we've got a tight contract that will ensure that come the 20th or the 30th of August, when everything is done, we are then able to say, here's the date that we have agreed, let us pay this monies to the players.
Right, we'll come back after the break.
Yeah,
Thulaganyo, just to wrap it up nicely, we'll come back after the break. We'll deal with those. We'll also deal about, I did promise you, the issue around the Thulaganyo Stadium. I do have confirmed that the PSL, the Premier Soccer League, had closed the Thulaganyo Stadium twice, on 2 occasions. They'd shut it down for safety and security. They cited it not being playable, no lighting, and hey,
space is hard.
Yeah, the surface is hard. Yeah. So, but that's what I was saying. And Mr. Bailey was saying that he's played on artificial turf before. And I think what I forgot to say is that, yes, he might have played on artificial turf before, but he's never been to a World Cup.
Robert, it's again being the Richter. Danny Jordan now. Whether it's 400 million or 100 million for women and for men, the ladies just want their money. They can talk very metaphorically instead of answering the questions. The ladies just want their money.
Simple as that. They just want their money. Fully agree.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Mamria is Msiwayen with Bank. You know, Mamria said it all. There's a problem in SAFA. I don't know they're going to keep on loaning until when. Here's my role in SAFA. I mean, Jordan must just step aside, man. Must just step down, Jordan, man. We've been crying, man. We are sick and tired of Mr. Jordan leadership.
Yeah, AK says the Players Union as well as SAFA need to have an MOU that governs how they operate. It works in cricket. Women players included in the MOU, so everyone knows the match fees, the bonuses, etc. It's what, a 3 to 5 year MOU, takes into account the splits from the ICC, etc. It can work. If it works in cricket, surely, Mamria, it can work in football. Why all these little different corners of negotiation? And yet when they launched the Le Coq Sportif, I mean, I could hear Mr. Bailey as the vice president, he was calling it La Costa yesterday, but it's Le Coq Sportif. So those are two different brands. So from your side, if they're able to do that together, then surely they need to write these contracts out together. Have that memorandum of understanding. Is that difficult to achieve?
I don't think so. I mean, netball, it's a typical example.
Yeah.
You know, you look at netball, you look at the advertisement of netball going to the World Cup. We see them every day. We see those girls every day. Where have we seen Banyana Banyana? Where have we seen? But you know, Marawa, I think it is important for me to say this. Have SAFA really apologized to South Africans for what happened on Saturday?
They haven't.
But I think it's important that Danny Jordan stand up and apologize without giving us the figures of England and whatsoever. He must tell us his counterpart, Zambia. They received the preparation money. Where are they? All over Europe. Played Netherlands, played Germany.
We were supposed to play Germany. We had the right to play Germany, didn't we?
But Marawa, I think it's time that you bring Danny Jordan not alone in the studio. Call us in the studio so that we can be able to talk to him. We can be able to answer what he's saying. But SAFA has to stand up and be ashamed of what happened on Saturday and apologize to the South African. South Africans went there to see Banyana Banyana. There were no Banyana Banyana in the field of play. They went there to see Banyana. They have deprived Banyana Banyana an opportunity to be seen by the country before they leave. They've denied them that opportunity. And they have to be remorseful and come on air and apologize to South Africa. But they can't be thanking the Motsepe Foundation. We know Motsepe Foundation has helped SAFA every time.
Gazillion times. And yeah, just for you, on your point on Danny Jordan, I invited him to come through and he sent a message 3 minutes to 3 this afternoon, says, flying to Morocco for CAF Exco in Morocco on my way to the airport. That was his response to the invitation that I put out to him. Now, in all of this, lady and gentlemen, we need to stop talking. We need to get to a point where things happen, man. We need, Mamria,
is this not the Women's World Cup?
It is.
Where are the women NEC members? Where is the SAFA Vice President, Natasha Chiklas? Where is she in all this? I haven't seen Natasha saying anything about all this. Where is she? We in a Women's World Cup, because we have got women there, we expect the Vice President, Natasha Chiklas, to be leading these women.
But we are hearing Mr. Bailey, who's a vice president, sending videos. Not too many people knew who he was. But he had to come in at the height of this crisis, posting videos, defending the association obviously saying a lot of things that I said, and I challenged him yesterday, which I thought were incorrect. So now, in the midst of where we are, we don't see that. In the midst of where we are, the former football player, who's now a CEO, is again not being as vocal. It's left to the president, it's left to the other vice president to speak.
Yes.
Thulaganyo, from your perspective, how then do we say women are represented at the highest level, vice president, CEO, and yet they're not featuring in the fight for women?
Look, Rob, I think our problem in general, and this is what we said today at the press briefing, that we need to meet with Mr. Jordan to talk about these issues. And now we were asked, what are the issues? We said the issues that we need to talk about are around development of women, which we'll unpack just in a brief.
Yeah.
Development of women, the succession plan as to where are we going as a country in terms of football, because we need to have those discussions. But the problem we're sitting with is very structural. When you leave, we can empower whomever, we can have 100 women at SAFA, and the question is, what powers do they have? Do we have the National Executive Committee that we'll talk about? If, Robert, I was the president of SAFA, and a person like Monde Muntsiwa, who is a member of the National Executive Committee, utters such words about the national team instead of coming to the, you see, that's the issue of patriarchy as well. Yeah. And I think we must talk about it. We must call it what it is. It's patriarchy. He goes out there, say these women are useless, and they're going to, in any event, they are going on holiday and so forth. But
and
they
must
forget.
Leave the camp.
He must leave camp. They forget one thing, Robert, that all this money that they got it because these women qualified. Yeah. They called an NEC at 10:30, and they said the women didn't want to play. But at 12:30, the women on that bus go into the stadium, and that is why we found them there. But I'm saying it's structural because if I was there as the president, we would want to hear them talking to all these issues about the thing of the NEC to say you cannot be doing this. But we think it's time that all of us who love football must sit and say, what are the issues here? We've been talking the indabas, we've been talking about this and that and the other. But we must agree in terms of where we want to go. And we don't want to deal with personalities. Yeah. We must say there was a Vision 2020, there is this policy. What have we achieved? Have we really achieved this thing? We've got the FIFA Forward 3.0 program. It says there are 10 things that ought to be done. What of these things have we achieved? Because if we achieve these things, there is about 60 million that we can get at least for over a period of 3 years, and that begins to help us to deal with that. We have 1 million that we have received for preparation fee, which is a USD. Yeah. What did we do with this? So that if we have done and planned better, because one of the things that we must plan better, we would not have gone into that issue of Takane because it's a question of health and safety at work, the conditions of work. You can't just get a person to go and work there. What do we do with the 1.5 and the 690 that we would have received, around that work as a team, as a result of Banyana Banyana having qualified? So those questions are important, and we need to ask those questions. And we don't ask them because it's Robert the president, or it's Mamria, or it's Denny Jonan. We must have the book and say, let us tick and have a discussion, because the future belongs to the young, and those young people, we must then make sure that we gather them. And for me, is we coordinate and we are able to talk about things without fear or favor. We should stop saying, we can't talk about this. If we talk about this, it's an attack on a person. We are not attacking anyone. We are talking issues of principle.
But you spoke about a person.
But be able to deal with
the key thing is you spoke about a person. And I love the fact that you spoke about a person. Because if you are portrayed as an NEC member, Mamria, and you go publicly, and you say things like they should have refused to be called by the thugs, and they must just exit the SAFA camp. Now they want to portray themselves as victims for public sympathy. That is Mondele Mochiwa, who is...
Let me answer that, Marawa, by saying, unfortunately, the NEC would only be told They were told. They were called to a meeting. That was happened. They called to a meeting and they are told Banyana Banyana doesn't want to play. No one in that meeting will raise a hand and say, but Banyana Banyana are here. Can't we just go to the hotel and hear them ourselves? They would not do that. It will be, they have been given an information. And I'm saying, Marawa, this noise that we are talking about, the public as noise, is not going to stop until government set up a commission of inquiry about the monies of the World Cup and all the financials of SAFA from 2010. Until then, I can guarantee you we are going to still make this noise and nobody's going to listen to us.
Have you proposed that to the Minister of Sport?
I was supposed to meet with the minister yesterday, but at 5 o'clock he was still at the championship, and I didn't want to disturb him today because I knew Banyana they are leaving, and tomorrow the last group, and I just said to myself I will discuss with him after this meeting. But I want to propose that to the minister because this nonsense of South African being told every time that FIFA doesn't want any interference. We saw Banyaza holding a press conference there on Saturday because he cares. He has got passion. But we were never told why now government is making a press conference of SAFA.
I was going to say that's also dangerous because FIFA does not look kindly on government interference in the game of football. So that's why I was saying to you, you will approach Zizi Gota, the Minister of Sport, to say you are calling for a commission of inquiry, like we've seen before, Steve Tshwete calling the Pickett Commission. We've seen before, after the Ellis Park disaster, the Judge Bernard Ngwepe Commission of Inquiry was called. So all of those can only be instructed by a minister.
Yes, it can be instructed by the minister together with SASCOC. Yeah. Where is SASCOC in all this? All federations are affiliated to SASCOC.
Correct.
They should be worried. They should have done a press conference to say, what are they saying about it? A commission of inquiry, a forensic audit of the monies of SAFA needs to be dealt with. Until then, I can guarantee you this noise that we are calling, all the South Africans that are saying this, you can't say the minister must go and tell SAFA to step down. That's where FIFA will step in. FIFA says you can't go and remove an elected a structure. Yeah. But FIFA would never say anything if a commission of inquiry is set up by the minister, like it was said by Nelson Mandela, and there was no FIFA ban.
So should we still go for this FIFA Women's World Cup 2027 because we are there?
It is important. It is important.
But with this leadership, should we still do it?
No. Before we even get there, that is why it is important for government to make sure that the FIFA 2010 FIFA legacy that was left, 600 million rand gone in 10 years, they must go, and we need that investigation for that. And then 2027, we all want the World Cup for women to come to South Africa, no doubt about it.
Muzi
but
says
not under the circumstances that we are.
Okay, that's the qualifier there. Muzi says hardly 3 months into the SAFA CEO position, Linda has been embarrassed and clearly undermined by the SAFA president. Does Danny have an executive position at SAFA, or is he the federation president? You've got 40 seconds.
The executive is the NEC.
Correct.
So Dan is a non-executive president, but he rules the NEC. The NEC will never give any
won't say anything against him.
No.
Thulaganyo, just a wrap from your side.
No, Rob, in closing, I think we've agreed to a package of measures, and I think we need to package these issues properly. You know, right now we should be having at least the last batch of Banyana that will be leaving tomorrow in studio, celebrating them to say this is where we're going. This thing has changed all the attention. But I think as a nation we must agree that yes, we have resolved this matter now. With relation to the contract, the players are going to play. But we must not look back and say because it's an event in South Africa, sometimes say, oh, there are these issues, then we are excited, we want to talk about them. And when everybody leaves, we turn back. So we can promise the world that we are going to go ahead and deal with these matters, ensure that our football is properly.
They leave today and tomorrow?
Yeah.
Give me which one they travel. Is it economy or is it business class?
No, they're going business.
They're going business class. Okay. All right. Our business time is over. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Robert Marawa, live on 947.